Alright, so in this tutorial we're going to go over the Flair Scratch, which is an open fader scratch. So what that means as an open fader scratch is that the crossfader starts in the middle or in the on position, meaning that sound is passing through. In the more basic scratches, most of them started with the fader closed, with sound not passing through. So this is where the Flair and its sister scratches are similar in that they start with the fader open. So what that means is you play the sound with the fader open and then you execute the scratch. In this case, I'm just going to do the basic back and forth on the record, and I'm going to, in the middle of this movement, I'm going to split that sound into two sounds by clicking the fader. I'm going to click it once and then click it a second time to a close position at the very end of the sound. So just watch carefully. And at the end of the sound, I leave the fader closed and stop the record. And as I pull back the record to the starting position, I move the fader back to the middle, so you hear that backspin. So one more time. Step one is to release the record, click the fader once, and then one more time at the end of the forward motion of the record. Stop the record, pull the record back, and open the fader again. So just watch carefully while I do this a few times. I'll start slow and then go faster as I go on. So what you should be getting is three sounds out of this scratch. The first sound as I release the record, the second as I click and turn it back on, and the third as I pull back. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can do this also backwards. Instead of starting with the record on the forward motion, you can start on the backward motion. The same idea applies. So let me move this sound to the end. And I split the backward motion into two, and then release the record and move the fader back to the open position. The genius of this scratch is that you're creating three sounds by only moving the fader twice. So that's why these Flair scratches, when they came out, were revolutionary, because it made you sound a lot faster on the cut than you could with previous closed fader scratches. Alright, so the next type of open fader scratch I want to show you is known as the orbit. And what that is you do the same motion on the forward scratch as you do on the backward motion of the scratch. So again, you start with the fader open, and this time I'm going to click the fader once and leave it back in the open position as I release the record. That's the forward motion. The backward motion, same thing. As I pull back, I'm going to click the fader once and then return it to the open position. So forward, backward, forward, backward. So with this one, with two fader movements, I'm actually getting four sounds instead of three that we got in the other scratch. So I'm just going to do this slowly and then pick up the speed so you can just hear it progress from slow to fast. Notice the four sounds. I'll count those real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the final scratch I want to show is also a variation on the orbit, but this one includes 2 clicks per motion. So on the forward motion, you're going to click the fader twice as opposed to once, and on the backward motion, you're going to do the same. So again, start with the fader in the middle. As I move the record forward, I'm going to click the fader twice, or turn it on and off twice, giving me 3 sounds. On the backward motion, I'll do the same thing. Forward, backward. So with this one, we're getting 6 sounds. So let's just review the 3 scratches that are open fader scratches and in the family of Flair scratches. The first one is just a simple Flair. Start with the fader in the middle, move the record forward, click once to split that sound into 2, and then close it. That's the first part of the scratch. And then the pullback, move the fader back to the middle as I pull back, giving you 3 sounds. Next is the single click orbit. So start with the fader in the middle, move to the beginning of your sound. As I release the record on the forward motion, I'll click the fader once and move it back to the open position. Stop the record, and as I pull back, I'll do the same thing. And then finally, it's the double click orbit. So same thing, start with the fader open, go to the beginning of your sound, and instead of clicking once, I'm going to click twice on the forward and the backward motion. So let's just listen to those over a beat. Always practice to a beat to get your timing down, and also start off slow and build your speed over time.